Earth is a huge planet with a lot of beautiful places where you can visit, and some of these locations could be the resting place of some of the most important treasures that were buried centuries ago. Today, we count down 4 hidden treasures from around the world. Number 4. Church of Pisco. 4 soldiers of the Peruvian army in the mid-1800s devised a plan to outwit priests after learning about their treasures. Luke Barrett, Arthur Brown, Jack Killoraine, and Diego Alvarez gained the confidence of the Pisco Church in Peru and managed to sail away with over 14 tons of gold and other treasures after killing the priests. Unfamiliar with the area, the 4 drew a map, ditched the loot, and headed to Australia, with the hope of eventually returning and recovering their booty. Unfortunately, prior to returning for their treasure, 2 were killed and the other 2 were arrested. Only Killoraine survived the jail stint. Before he died, he told Charles Howe about the Pisco Church heist and where the treasure was stashed. When Howe found the treasure, he was not equipped to move the treasure. He left the treasure hoping to return and collect. Out of money, Howe failed to return to collect the treasure, but he had discovered the location of George Hamilton, who eventually went looking for the treasure, but never found it because he couldn't understand the map. Number 3. Lou Treasure Map. The only legendary treasure to have a map that directs you to 14 tons of gold is the Lou. As mystifying as the code is, it has long been assumed the only tools needed to decode the Lou is a $1 bill, a key, and a sound understanding of Masonic symbolism. Published by Carl van Mueller, some speculate the map consists of various mathematical formulas. Believed to be in the United States, the legend of the Lou claims the treasure is 14 tons of gold. The gold was brought to the US by the Nazis in a plan to sabotage the US economy and prevent Americans from entering World War II. After hearing the plan, the Gold Act was instituted to avoid the Nazis' plan. Failing to prevent the US from entering the war wasn't the only failure in the Nazis' grand scheme. They also failed to decipher the Lou, and the Nazi loyalists that created it had died. Ultimately, they were unable to retrieve the treasure and return to Germany. Number 2. Bacuit Bay. In the Philippines, Bacuit Bay is an island that on its own should be considered a treasure. Bacuit Bay is small, yet boasts a legendary story about Tomoyuki Yamashita's lost treasures. A decorated general for the Japanese army, it is speculated that Yamashita hid treasures in the caves of Bacuit Bay in the 1940s. He obtained his treasures by looting many bordering countries during the 30s until World War II. Yamashita's treasures included loot from Malaysia, India, Thailand, and Burma, which were all shipped to the Philippines prior to their final destination, Japan. Unfortunately for Yamashita, Japan surrendered while he was still in the Philippines. Prior to being captured and hung, Yamashita hid his treasures in 172 different places on the island. He and his crew assumed they would eventually come back for the treasure. Some sources estimate that Yamashita's treasures could be worth billions today. In the 70s, Rogelio Roxas found part of the treasure. Unfortunately, President Ferdinand Marcos confiscated his findings and the remaining treasure located in the particular tunnel. Roxas sued and was awarded $22 billion. Although the Marcos and Roxas family continue to battle in court based on the story, there are more caves filled with Yamashita's other treasures. Number 1. Issyk-Kul. There are a variety of legends surrounding Lake Issyk-Kul, from the idea that Templar knights and Christians buried treasures of the Templar there to lost jewels forming a golden path. Many legends exist about the area. One of the most notable legends is of Commander Genghis, who is supposedly buried with his treasures. Some legends have his treasure in the lake, and others admit the location is unknown. Reports indicate that his soldiers killed everyone that knew about the tomb's location, and when they returned from the burial site, they too were killed. Commander Genghis amassed his fortune by capturing most of Central Asia and China in the 13th century, of which the booty yielded by his conquests was incalculable. Digs in the 20s failed due to the instability of the political environment. Since there has been many attempts, including expeditions by the Japanese and a recent attempt by American researchers who believe they have located Genghis Khan's tomb, but there is no treasure to date. So this is it for today's video. Thank you for watching, and make sure to tune in tomorrow for another brand new episode.